Hello, my name is Stacy Garrett. I'm the VP of Marketing for Ideation, and today we're going to talk about headwear, something that most companies do. And I brought my favorite headwear guy, Bryan Bender. He's with Cap America. He knows all things headwear. So we are going to break down some of the different things you need to know when you are ordering logoed headwear. Thanks for joining me, Bryan.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks again for having me. Kind of learning from the best here. You're an industry, legend. So it's really a pleasure to be here and just being able to help. So
Great, great. Well, hopefully this will help everybody that's watching this today. Okay, so first let's talk about some of the basics of hats. I mean, we get requests for people that say, "Hey, I want hats." And one of the first questions I might ask is, "Okay, great. What style hat? Do you want it structured or unstructured? Do you want it kind of structured?" And people go, "Well, I don't know." Can you talk about what that means? What structured and unstructured means when you're talking about a hat?
yeah. So again, welcome to Hat 101, this new course here. As far as going into any type of hat, everyone I feel like has a hat. Everyone wears a hat. If you have a hat, you have probably multiple hats. They are top of mind when talking about branding. So it's almost, it feels like very easy. There you go, right? Very easy and very something that you should always be thinking about when presenting your brand, whether it be, for a uniform or also just in general on outside of the workplace, right? So it's terms of structured and unstructured. I kind of a few samples here too, right? So, structured, let me get a sample of that. It's going to be more of a more polished, crisp look to your hat, right? It's going to be have a very hard, shape to it. It adds almost this inside buckram stiff fabric to it. So behind the front two panels. So really typically on that mid to high profile hats, a lot of performance fabrics will have that structured look and feel to it. I've got kind of that same one where it's going to just kind of lay and be there all day. And
Yeah,
then,
you
yeah,
Sorry, you mentioned mid to high profile. That's also a question people have. What does that mean?
yeah, yeah. So again, going into back to like your unstructured, right? This is has you can almost take it and push it directly down, and that hat is just gonna doesn't have that buckram in the backing and the front two panels there. So, and then this is a lot of that unstructured will have a lower profile. So very low, shallow kind of depth to the crown of the hat, which is
Yeah,
this
so you're talking about this area, right? Is the
it,
profile.
exactly. It's going into maybe a medium or a mid profile, right? That has a little bit taller. This one has the mesh back to it, but again, it sits just a little bit taller. You'll have a gap between your head and the hat there, just a little bit of space, right? And then going into a high profile, right? Almost just like it has that just super tall crown that comes up, and again, very structured. You could put it down on a table and it's not going to move or anything there. So yeah, there's again low profile, really small to the mid profile, which I've got on here today, to a very high profile hat. So there you
Cool.
go.
Yeah. That is a common question that we get, and it's good to see examples side by side. So thank you for that.
Yep.
So, what about the closures? That's another question we get, where we need to know when we're showing a hat. We find the perfect hat and then we find out, oh, I don't like the hook closure or I don't like the fabric closure. And so we need to know that so that we don't show you hats that have those different kinds of closures. So if you could touch on some of the closures, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So my favorite, I feel like it's become just an industry standard on just your adjustable plastic snapback closure, right? There's options to have one line of the closure or a double, snap to it as well. So that gets into your more custom type options, but just a very classic look. Then you can fit to almost every head shape and size there mostly. And then going back to another option is your fabric, like a fabric strap. right? With maybe the sliding buckle. Maybe it has a harder square type buckle here on the edge. You could even add leather as that type of material there as well. And then, like you mentioned before, the Velcro, a Velcro type hook and loop, as if you want to put a technical term to it, right?
Non-trademarked name brand. Yeah.
Yeah, or right? So again, just options there that each different style will have, and it's just preference. I think they're all are great. I again personally love the snapback. I grew up with having those cool, branded snapbacks. So that's just what my preference is.
Yeah, it seems like, because I've been doing this since the dinosaurs were roaming the land, it seemed like the snapback, the plastic snap, as you're talking about,
Uh-huh.
that was an indicator of a cheaper hat. They didn't put those on nicer hats way back. Now, some of the higher end hats have that snapback, and I see it as being not a sign of a cheaper hat, but when I first started doing this 25 years ago, that was the sign of a cheaper hat. So people didn't want it because it looked like it was chintzy.
Yeah.
And now I don't think that is the case. I mean, you are a trendy hat guy. You don't care. You would prefer that almost.
Yeah, because even sometimes I'm like, I want this, I'm on a boat, let's say, and I want it a little bit tighter. I know it's one snap away, and versus maybe even like the slide closures, you're not quite sure of that quite measurement when you're doing it. That did
Yeah.
I go too tight or too loose? And it's almost like you're kind of coming back and forth on it. So yeah, that's why I just know exactly where my mark is every time,
Mhm.
usually between
Mhm.
one or two snaps. Doesn't matter what brand we're dealing with, right? So I
Yeah.
think that is almost just like a knowledge that you already have, like tying your shoes just like it's just natural, right? Even like on our nice premium line hats, we have and added that
Oh
back
yeah.
closure,
Yeah.
right? So this is a top seller of ours with the snapback, and I don't think people blink an eye or think about that anymore, honestly.
No.
And even going into another type you might not think about is that full on stretch fit. Usually
Yeah.
size small to medium or large to extra large. You can get then a nice comfortable fit.
Yeah.
So there's
And
all
that's,
there's
you call that a pro back, right?
yeah, I mean, we all a stretch fit. Some people call it just a flex fit to put a brand to it.
I think from our standpoint, that does become more challenging. If you're doing a hat for all of your employees, hat is a wearable item that does not require sizing. And so if you start, that's where we've always seen those pro back stretch fit style. It's such a challenge. A lot of people, I'm even going to go on a limb here, don't hate me, but mostly men care about the pro back because women tend to like to be able to have a hole so that they can put their ponytail through it.
Absolutely.
Um, but the pro back, generally, it's men that are wanting that. And there are guys that just will wear nothing but a pro back.
Yep.
But reality is, it is hard in our world to do pro back without actually talking to the people and knowing and letting them try it on and see what size they want. It has changed where, at least you can get, small, medium, large, extra large. In some cases, there's some 2XL even
Yep.
for big headed guys like my dad, but you still have sizes. So that's one of the challenges of it. But everybody that gets the right size loves it. Ironically, I'm like in between. So pro backs actually don't fit me very. I want to love them, like if I'm going to a sporting event or something, but I'm just like right between, and they're
Yeah.
either too loose or too tight, and so I prefer adjustable. Just personal preference.
Yep. No, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I think just knowing and ordering for your whole company and just having it saying, oh, this is a slide closure with a fabric or the snapback. I don't have to worry about that, right? Like I
Mhm.
have everyone covered.
Another thing that is definitely polarizing when it comes to hats is the bill.
Yes,
Um, I that like pre-curved, right? This one came just like this. I haven't done anything to it.
exactly.
What else are our options?
Yeah, absolutely. And I will say that that hat looks really good on you. Where'd you get it by chance?
Uh-huh, uh-huh. Where did I get this
Yeah.
awesome hat? I have had so many people want to get he sent this to me because I live in Kona. I love it. Same with this one, Kona. For my friend Bryan.
That's a full custom there. So, but yeah, I mean, going back to your bills and your or you can also call it a visor, right? A true flat visor bill. A lot of it kind of stems from going to that kind of higher profile. I feel like a lot of the flat or on field styles with that stretch fit band have a kind of more of a flat bill for that baseball type look. But then you could go into styles there that have even like what I've got on, or kind of a newer style here for us that have just a subtle, I would call it a modified flat visor, right? So you could really bend it to be flat. It does have a little bit of shape to it, and it is shapeable. So you could put it to your desired curve, and it's going to stay there, right? So I'd say this is just again one of my favorites where I can still wear it different ways, or if it tends to be just the fit, it just gives you more versatility of the hat. Going back to, I keep showing this one, but this is the top seller of ours, just
Yeah.
that pre-curved visor that is already set, and you could still really, this is what we did back in the day. I mean, the more
Oh,
curved the
I
better, I
remember.
feel like, right? The guys were coming out looking like this on the golf course, so it's like, how do you hit the golf ball? Anyways, but yeah, I mean, it can be very shapeable, but if you still wanted to put it in your bag and flatten it out, you can. And then, oh, I need to get back to wearing it. I can easily put it back. It's, so that again,
Yeah,
a flat to a modified flat visor that I've got and you've got, to really a pre-curved visor that has even more bend to it. So
I love that. And traditionally, the flat visor is not intended to be curved, right? It's not made so that it takes a curve very well.
yeah, I mean, even on some of our top premium styles for on field, right? I mean, it's coming out and where kids can wear this and it's sitting there like right flat, right? When you do get it on, I almost kind of when I bend my bills a little bit, I always take these 2 points here and I bend them kind of together to just get more of a subtle then curve to it, and it then fits the head a little bit closer on your crown, right?
Yeah.
And so, and when I say crown, I guess going back to headwear 101 that we're teaching here today, you've
Mhm.
got your crown, right? The whole top of it, you've got the visor, which or your bill, you've got your sweatband that's on the inside here, you've got your closure that we've talked about, right? With the snapback and everything, but you also have the eyelets are here. You've got the button that's on top, and maybe even a step further of it, and you say, well, I want a custom inside woven label, which probably that Kona hat does, right? Your woven label that's on the inside there, and then, or your inside seam tape, that goes and keeps kind of all the hat together. So again, multiple different styles of hat. This is a 5 panel hat. It doesn't have that front seam that goes down there, right?
Kona hat has a front seam. You can see it
Yeah,
when
and
I.
you could still put the patch and everything over the top of it. The 6 panel is the most common and traditional type of hat where you just have that seam coming down. But you then have kind of more trucker styles and things like that have then a panel here, a panel there, another front panel, and then going around the hat, you add then one, two, three, four, five, six, seven. This is a 7 panel hat.
Well, and I mean, 7 panels pretty new. And when
Yes.
it first came out, I was like, oh, okay, what are they going to think of next?
Yeah.
But I mean, more and more have been requested, and you see more and more out there in retail and people loving them. There was a time when, so this is a 5 panel hat here, no seam
Hmm.
down the middle, which wouldn't work well with this graphic if you did have a seam down the middle because of the decoration.
Yeah.
But it was a 5 panel was also a cheaper hat. You'd get a 5 panel with a plastic snap, and that was your bottom of the barrel budget hat. Now that's not the case. The 5 panel is depends on the decoration and the style. Like yours looks like a 5 panel that you're
Yep.
wearing. Like it's not a better or worse. It's just different and depending on the aesthetic someone's looking for.
Exactly. Yeah. And even, I can almost put a little example here together for us with a blank hat that has just that front six panel, one of your top selling, trucker styles in the industry with the mesh back. So when people, a lot, people talk to me and they say, I want a trucker style, a lot of it goes to that mesh back, right?
Yeah.
So, but medium profile here, but let's say, oh, I want to add let's say a leather patch to the front of it. It still works. It doesn't matter if it's a 5 panel or a 6 panel. We could still sew that on and make it work. Or let's add a sublimated patch to it where you can get so much more detail in in the logo and everything, right? Or what's really trending has been like a silicone patch, right? Which is a lot more rubber patch that has that raised feel and everything to it, or a nice embroidered patch. And let's put that on there. It doesn't matter with the 5 or 6 panel, again, preference. It works with those trendy patches that we all see, even faux leather, right? Faux leather is another great option. It has a bunch of different colors that you can do, a lot of good detail. Yes, much preference, but 5 panel is kind of trending. I think we'll
Mhm.
see that still continue through 2025.
I agreed. I never thought I would be a 5 panel hat girl, but I really actually personally don't care. If
Yep.
it's a cool hat, I will embrace all of them. I mean, some of my favorite hats are the 5 panel, higher profile than I ever would have expected. And honestly, that was a trend too, where women were wearing more of that lilac kind of hat, the more dad cap,
Hmm.
because it didn't make their head look so big. But that trend is also like you see the cute running hats or the brewery hats or the fun, women power hats, and
Yeah,
they're high profile, mid profile, 5 panel, 7 panel, it doesn't matter.
for sure. Absolutely. Yep. Decoration placements and things like that, they do lend itself to maybe going this way or that way, right? Or what you're trying to accomplish with that sublimated example that you've got there on the 5 panel that you've been showing. We can do anything, right? And I think that the key is getting on your head. How does it feel? How does it make you feel? And how does it make your brand pop, right? Again, staying top of mind here.
I agree. I love that. So one of the other things that we have shown a bunch of examples here is in material.
Hmm.
Um, the material of this hat, we've got like a cotton canvas here on front.
Hmm.
This is a fully custom hat, so it's got the custom bill here, the
Yep.
rope, mesh. Some hats are all cotton canvas. There's so many materials now, and that is actually a big deciding factor in a hat. Is there's technical hats, right? Like moisture wicking, UV protection.
Yep, you name it, right? I think when it goes back to saying, kind of the fabric of our lives here as I grew up like watching those commercials, it goes back to the cotton, right? The cotton twill, the most common material used in headwear. It's soft, it's breathable, it's comfortable, right? And it absorbs dyes very well. So usually a lot of color options in those dad caps. This is the dad cap style. So it just, again, more versatility to the cotton. That's why it's used pretty prevalently in the industry, or just getting like a washed, like, look and feel to the cotton, like that brushed vintage, just used already, super retail ready. And then obviously polyester, you can mix this hat, another trucker hat. These are a polyester cotton blend, and then you're using the a polyester for the mesh back. So again, more durable, more water resistant, breathable. So I guess more physical activity or outdoor environments lend that maybe the polyester where you can add a waterproof finish to it, which one of our newer styles that we released has a waterproof finish. Again, more performance. And then you also have even like, let's say, a wool or a synthetic wool, right? So those are kind of those man-made fibers, right? That feel like wool. You know, acrylic being one of those most common synthetics. And this could be blend with another cotton or whatever. Here's another Kona for you here, okay? Right? That's all flowers and things. So really
What?
using more of those performance fabrics and polyesters to custom dye your and sublimate your hats inside and out to make it just crazy cool branding.
So cool. That's
Yeah,
so cool. I mean, it's definitely on brand and getting your message, but it looks so retail and fun. Who wouldn't want that hat? That's awesome. Those are good examples.
even the under the bill. Like this is one of my favorite samples to show because maybe it has an element to your brand, but it's not like the focal point of it. Maybe it's a little part of your website or whatever it may be. And then you just incorporate it, into your hat. And then kind of people kind of get the glimpse of like, oh, can I see your hat? Right? Like, I want one of those. Or even like full on sublimated, like a picture underneath, right? That's crazy
Ooh.
cool. So you still want those performance and like polyester type fabrics. So you don't want it all to be cotton there just for the vibrancy of the color and to
Yeah.
lock into the fibers there a little bit better. But yeah, it becomes endless. I mean, even look at this little fish that's on the bill. I don't know if you could see that very much
Oh,
there.
just
Let me see.
barely, but
There
oh
we
yeah,
go.
there you go.
But that's
Oh my gosh.
that's a
That's
3D embroidered, full custom that we've done. Maybe add a little patch or something to the side. I mean, again,
that's cool.
like Stacy, we sell fun. Hats are fun. They're meant to be worn and loved.
Some of those ones that you just showed are similar to these. They're fully custom, which is intimidating to some people to think about doing a fully custom hat. But I will say, in my 25 years, I can remember almost every fully custom hat I've done because the end product was so uniquely specific and it wasn't that hard. It just took some time in the onset to make it really cool. Like this example, this nod to the front
Mhm.
is on the back hook and loop closure.
Yep.
Um, you can't do that domestically with any kind of efficiency. They could have done the inside with that same, or maybe a pull to the pink could have been like, it's small little details that make such a big difference. And we can get, as depending on the customability, we can do custom hats pretty quickly, right?
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, usually our quick turn, we do a sample in about 5 to 8 days, right? So we're actually making that sample in our warehouses there, and so it's very much you get approved. You can see exactly what it looks like. If you need us to send the sample, we can. It just adds a little bit of lead time to
yeah,
it. But I mean, we're talking 30 to 35 days, usually pretty religiously on a full quick turn custom that we could do. If it takes a little bit more and they want to add maybe like a silicone patch right to it that's a little bit trending, this one actually has like very subtle ones that are on the side
oh,
as well, kind
yeah.
of very much tonal, but like adding in like the branding to it there.
Mhm.
Usually anywhere from I'd say 80 to 100 days. If you do have that time, you just say, I want a private label. I don't want anything on this hat but my own brand, inside seam tape, whatever it may be.
Look at that, the tag inside.
Yeah, yeah.
Always
So
a great opportunity for additional branding. Yeah.
and the seam tape, everything there. So and again, we're seeing the trend of this perforated style, which we have stock and we can do full custom of. It's very next level where people kind of want that elevated look. They go to this perforated back. That's very much trending right now.
If we wanted to do a custom one of those, we could start with that. I mean, it's pretty common to start with that base model and say, okay, I want this, but
Yep.
I want to make this color, the stitching a different color. I've even done where all of the stitches were one color, but we did one row of stitches to match decoration,
Mm,
just to help it feel that much more custom. And then you take this base hat and you start just playing with some of the little details to make it your own.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Or just even the the ones that maybe you don't think about. Like I love this little spot detail here that is just
Yeah.
like a nice little woven patch, but it's placed in a very specific spot where it's a nice touch where there's nothing else on the back but that. But then boom, like you have so much more to it.
Gorgeous hat. That hat is very crisp and beautiful. I don't know about a white hat, but that's
Well, I
always
got
a
one on here
challenge.
today, but you got to keep it clean, right? So yeah, but it does take a special, extra care for a white hat, I will say. So
None of our construction companies are
yeah,
going to
no,
do
no,
a white hat. Not going to happen.
no,
But you sitting on a Zoom call, you can
yes,
make it happen.
yes,
Um,
absolutely.
but that hat is just, I love the simplicity of it, but also the attention to detail in that custom hat that you were just showing.
Hmm.
So really, the sky's the limit, but the problem sometimes is it's just like decision overload. And so the purpose of this was to help make some of the decisions not feel as complicated, but also help see the possibilities so that we can create caps that are not just another cap in the swag closet, but a cap that everybody's going to be clamoring over, like my Kona hats that you sent me, that people are all like, I want that. I want that. I mean, this is promoting a company and
Yeah,
people want it.
yeah,
Ideation is totally here to make that happen because we love to do memorable and cool hats. We love wearable pieces, and especially ones where you don't have to think about a size. Like it's a win all around. You can hand them out freely without having to worry about, oh no, I don't have one that'll fit a woman versus a man versus we have youth issues, but most of our customers are looking for adult size caps. So,
yeah.
Bryan, thank you. Any last minute additions of things we didn't cover?
I think the thing is getting samples and doing spec samples. We can do those at a really quick turn as well. So getting and testing hats is the key.
If you want any hat ideas, some samples, mock up specs, you name it, reach out to your team at Ideation and we will take good care of you.
All right. Hey, thanks, Stacy.